joining. Thank you for coming to How to Empower Yourself and Your Kids. I am Dana Humphrey. I will be your moderator this evening. And please know that this meeting will be recorded. And we will be monitoring the chat. So please write in any questions that you may have. One of our parent leaders will be monitoring the chat. And also know that the last 15 minutes will be a Q&A session from 9:30 to 9:45 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And so hold on to your questions. You can write them into the chat or you can ask them at that time. So we have two experts tonight from coast to coast. We have Carey Davidson, the author of The 5 Archetypes. She is the CEO of Tournesol Wellness and Executive Director at Tournesol Kids. And she's based in New York. And we have Dr. Lisa Pion-Berlin, the president and CEO of Parents Anonymous, a nonprofit based in California. So in addition to both coasts being represented, we want to know where you're from. So please share in the chat where you're from, and we'd love to know. And in the meantime, we'd love to have everyone who will be in the panel tonight introduce themselves. So Carey, would you mind kicking us off and just sharing a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Thank you guys for having me. Thank you, Dr. Lisa, and thank you, Dana. As Dana said, I'm from New York City. I started a holistic health center called Tournesol Wellness here in the city and a nonprofit for kids to help empower kids and parents and teachers to teach kids this personalized method of self-awareness and self-regulation and empathy, which is what I wrote about in my book and we'll be diving into a little bit later tonight. I am a divorced mom of 3, and if you count the dog, I have 4. and I'm really excited to be here with you guys tonight. So thanks for having me.
Awesome, thank you. Dr. Lisa, would you mind introducing yourself?
Yes, I'm Dr. Lisa Pion-Berlin. I'm the president and CEO of Parents Anonymous, one of the nation's premier family strengthening organizations, started in 1969, so we've been around 51 years. We have various programs, but our core program is the weekly support group that Parents Anonymous runs. We also run a national parent helpline, which we'll put in the chat box that people can call. About 12 hours a day, we have trained, compassionate counselors ready to listen to anything anybody wants to talk about. A young person, a parent struggling around COVID, the fires, just feeling overwhelmed with distance learning, whatever's going on, we're here to support you in your empowerment journey. We also have online weekly support groups for those people who live in California and have a special website for Californians through a partnership we have with the governor, which as of yesterday, I want to announce that the first partner in California, Jennifer Seibel Newsom, just did a PSA. And it was really wonderful because she's a mother of 4 kids under 10. She really does get what it means to reach out and ask for help and what the struggle is like for parents and how we need to support people without blaming and shaming. So I'm really glad that people are on the webinar from all over the world. I just saw Australia pop up. We actually used to have Parents Anonymous in Australia. And we are very interested in partnering more people to see this evidence-based program grow. So we will be giving my contact information. You can email me and we can set up a webinar, a GoToMeeting or whatever, a Zoom, to have that conversation. So thanks for being here tonight. We know for the East Coasters, it's late, but we have a lot of young parents who have young children, and we really wanted to have them during their quiet time, possibly when those kids are asleep. That's why we chose the evening. So thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Dr. Lisa. And we have 2 parents with us tonight. Maggie, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure, thank you, Dana. Good evening, everyone. My name's Maggie. I am from Rialto, California. I'm married and I have 2 young daughters, a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old. I am part of the California Parent Leadership Team with Parents Anonymous, and I attend weekly support groups in Spanish. And thank you very much for having me being part of this webinar.
Awesome. And Antonia, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Antonia. I'm part of the California Parent and Leadership Team as well. And I'm a mother of 7, grandmother of 3, and I've been a part of the groups as well, and so are my children. And I'm a kinship provider. And thank you for having me.
Thank you, Antonia. So let's kick it off with a couple of questions. The first question to our panel is, what are some of the biggest challenges that you're facing right now?
You want me to start?
Sure, that would be great.
Okay. So, so for me, my kids are all older. They're 25, 22, and 17. And I remember when my kids were little, I couldn't wait till they got older because I just wanted to sleep through the night. I wanted to not have to get up and feed everyone breakfast all the time. I wanted to have like a little bit of peace in my life. But my mom always said to me, bigger kids, bigger problems. I'm like, no way. Sleeping through the night, nothing beats that. But here we are. And I have my 22-year-old is struggling with an eating disorder. And so she's been doing great for a long time, but during COVID, she relapsed. And so now she's going back into treatment on Monday. And my baby is 18, and she just moved out to Portland, Oregon to do a social justice program. And now she's in the middle of a lot of what you guys are dealing with in California with the air quality, with the fires and everything. And so she's having anxiety, and she's on Pacific time. So she calls me at like 3 a.m. with an anxiety attack. And so now I'm not sleeping and I have big kids, big problems. But we're managing, we're good.
So Carey and we become family, and so we are here for you, no matter what your age your kids are. I'm a mother of 2 grown adults, 33 and 24, and still, when that phone rings and I see their name, and our daughter lives in Guatemala, I think, oh my goodness, what can I do now? So as parents, I always feel this is a life journey. This is not the moment I became pregnant with my first child, and till the day I die, I will be a mother to 2 children, future grandmother, which I'm looking forward to. But I think all the stressors that we feel, and I feel about COVID, about the social isolation, the how your life you had to pivot like this, and now parents who have kids in school have to make all these choices. And every day we're thinking about safety. Now in California, we're thinking the air outside is so terrible, you can't open the window. Can you go outside? And those are all things that just wear on us and wear on us. And so what I think the beauty is of what Parents Anonymous offers, first of all, you can pick up the phone, you can chat us, you can text us. We're here, not 24 hours a day, 12 hours a day, 7 days a week. We're hoping to change that, but also that you can join an online group so you feel part of a community. We do that every day. We call our friends, we tap a neighbor, we call a relative, maybe we're doing more calling or Zooming than we ever did. And that's where things are changing. But that social connection is so important so that we can reduce the isolation we have. And I feel it myself every day.
Yes, I agree. And Carey, I agree with you when they say when they're little, they're small problems. And when they get older, they're bigger problems. But I'm dealing with my small problems right now. So one of the biggest challenges I'm facing right now is the distance learning with my 4-year-old. And I have a 2-year-old where I have to kind of like leave her outside so I can have my 4-year-old concentrate and not distract her. So, it's challenging in a way where, it's new to her, where she has to sit here at home and then she has to do her letters, and she's so codependent by me. So she sees mommy and she's like, mommy, I can't do it. Can you help me? Versus when she's in school physically, she challenges herself. But being at home, she challenges herself less because I am here. So that's one of the challenges that I'm facing right now. And also, the fire here in Yucaipa, in San Bernardino, we can't go outside for our normal night walk because of the whole air quality is really bad. So, but that's one of my biggest challenges that I'm facing right now with my 4-year-old.
Thank you.
Antonia, what about you?
Ah, it's so hard to just pick one. My kids they range from 11 to 27. Um, and I have little and large um, challenges today. The air quality, I have two asthmatics, and on top of the COVID. And then, but recently, I'm a kinship provider. I've had my niece since she was 3. She's going to be 15 next month. And she was just diagnosed with onset type 1 diabetes. And that's not only a challenge, but it has caused a lot of fear in my home. The kids are just all trying to pay close attention and observe and read everything and just not do anything that's going to make her uncomfortable, and make her feel like she's losing out now. So we're all just trying to work together, and it's really stressful. And I guess in a way, it's caused a lot of I want to say anxiety. You know, everybody is like on tippy toes, making sure that she doesn't eat anything she's not supposed to, that her sugar doesn't shoot up or drop. And it's just it we now have this, like, I know people say not to worry, not to stress over something, like we're going to be able to take care of it, and we'll get through it. But you know, I'm just I'm really, really, really worried, you know. And then she's scared, and it's hard to communicate with her. She's autistic, and she has some learning challenges. So getting her to understand that it's not her fault um, is another challenge for us, because she feels she's to blame, you know. Um, and it just hurts. It really hurts to see her feel like that. She doesn't want to eat anything. She doesn't want to die, is what she tells me. And it really breaks my heart when she says things like that. Sorry.
It's okay. Take a breath. Take a breath. Don't hold your breath. Breathe. Close your eyes. Well, thanks for sharing, Antonia.
Thank you.
Keep breathing. Don't hold it. We're here for you.
Thank you.
Let's
I really try not to let them see me weak, because I'm a single parent. So sorry.
You got a lot on your shoulder. You can cry here.
Thank you for sharing your challenges. Carey and Dr. Lisa, would you like to maybe share some ideas on what parents might be able to do to empower themselves through these challenging times?
Sure. Do you want to go first, Dr. Lisa, or you want me to
Sure.
do it?
Well, I can't emphasize enough that people need to stay connected in positive relationships. And every relationship's not positive. And you need to feel that you can define that for yourself. So what feels safe for you is different for the next person, even in your own family, even in your own circle. And defining that is the first, to me, the first step in feeling empowered. You know, it's like the old saying, don't worry about changing other people, just work on yourself. But working on yourself feels so overwhelming now. So creating that safe circle for yourself is your first, and lean on your heart to figure that out. I mean, nobody can tell you, oh, that person loves you, or that person, they didn't mean to be mean to you, or you really need to accept them. They're your sister, your brother, your neighbor, your best friend. It's like, no, you need to decide that. So in order to create a safe circle for yourself, you need to come up with those things mean for you. so that you feel you're in charge. Because empowerment is starting with yourself, not the next person, not your kid right now. I'm talking about the parents or anybody in a caregiver role. And even if you don't have children to care for, even as an individual, single person or senior or whatever it is, you need to take care of you and define what that is. And I think that is really, really important and hard to do. So one thing I suggest people do is if you put your hands out in front of you, that sort of creates this safe circle. Put everybody inside, and the things that fill you up with love and support, and everything outside of that, people, things not to do that are destructive or self-destructive or hurtful, put it outside. And the longer you hold your hands up, the heavier they get, the heavier they get. And so you want to keep lifting them up and feeling that sense of power to define what that is. And that's something, we do in a Parents Anonymous group. We'll ask people to close their eyes and reach out and figure out what that is. And it's a process. It's not a 1 + 1 = 2. It's not that simple. But keep seeking help and keep creating that safe circle for yourself, because that's what nurtures you. Other things might be harmful or hurtful and won't build on your own strengths.
Thank you. Carey, do you have some ideas for parents on what they can do additionally to empower themselves right now?
Yeah, well, one of the things that I like to give people permission to realize that they can do is to not have to have all the answers right away. Not have to feel like they need to be able to solve all the world's problems right now just because everyone's knocking on the door and 10 people are asking you, Mom, did you get this? Honey, did you get that? Can you solve this? Mom, I'm having this problem. We can say, I don't know yet. Give yourself permission to take that space to be like, I don't know yet. And then not only are you giving yourself the gift of some time, some space, some brain area to be able to decide what you want to do and not have to react in the moment, but you're also giving the other person, whether it's your child, your spouse, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, whoever is asking you this question or demanding your time, you're actually giving them a kind way to practice self-soothing. So maybe your kid could self-soothe instead of having you decide how to entertain them. Or maybe, the second grader is old enough to go get their own drink out of the fridge, and so it gives that space, that opportunity to pause where everyone can kind of learn how to grow a little bit. And not knowing yet is not the same as not knowing. It's not like saying, oh, I'm bad, I don't know, but I don't know yet. I'm going to think about that. And in that space, there's magic that could happen. And you give yourself a gift at the same time as you kind of give the other people the gift of figuring out how to figure it out. So that maybe next time they don't ask you so quickly and they remember that, oh wait, I can take care of that myself. And then you've all grown in this relationship and your ability to take care of yourselves, take what you need a little bit. So that's what I would say for the adults in the room.
Permission to pause. Yeah, that's a good one. Maggie, are there any things that you're doing right now that help you stay empowered as a parent?
Well, things that I started doing after I started attending the weekly support groups at Parents Anonymous is I started to express myself more. I started to express myself more with my family, with my husband, something that I would never do before. We were raised where we reserve our feelings. So it's something that, they have to get used to, and I'm happy that I'm expressing myself. So what I do to empower myself, I express myself and I learn how to ask for help. Something that I wasn't doing before.
Awesome. Antonia, what about you?
Sorry, I'm not very good with technology. Oh, I don't know why there's an echo. Hold on. Hey, here, I'm so sorry, 1 second.
Okay, yeah, maybe we can come back to you. So we have another question. So the next question is, what can we do as parents to help empower our kids? And so, Dr. Lisa or Carey, would you like to provide some ideas around empowering your kids?
Sure. I think especially during these times of uncertainty or when any kid is expressing worry, parents often say, oh my God, I want to take away the worry. It's even when they were little. You know, my mother used to say the same thing, little children, little problems, bigger children, bigger problems. I think just things change, whether they're bigger or not. Carey, I hear what you're saying, but maybe they get more complicated, more pronounced. You know, what a toddler can express and what we know is going on is so different than an adolescent who might just crawl into a shell and you're just worried what's going on with them. Are they seriously depressed? But I think as parents, people are socialized, especially mothers, but including fathers, to protect ultimately your child. So you want to take away every boo-boo, whether it's kiss the boo-boo, whether it's take away the pain. It's like somebody was mean to me, mommy, and you just wanted to go away. And actually in doing that over and over again, you are disempowering your children. I can't emphasize this enough. What you need to do is affirm the feelings they have. Number one, I know you're sad. I know you're worried. That was mean. Okay, acknowledging what the hurt is very important, because if you hide away and I just hug my little Emma and say, oh, it's okay, honey, I've affirmed nothing, because maybe I'm afraid to affirm the fear they have, the fact that somebody picked on him, told her she was fat, told her he had pimples, told him he's stupid, whatever. All these things are very, very hurtful. Whether you're 2 or 3, you can express it, or you're 17. And then when you get to be 20, and you go to college or go away, and then you don't feel like you fit in at all, then you don't want to tell anybody anything. So opening up that communication and affirming the feelings that kids have. I hear you that you're frightened. That's really mean. The next thing you need to say, it's a 2-part series, is I know you got this. I know that you can handle this. I know you are strong. And then they might have a solution. Maybe they want to write a note to the person. Maybe they want to shout out loud, I am beautiful, I am strong. But you want to, empowerment is a 2-part thing. Because if you don't acknowledge the feelings people have, you sweep it under the rug, and you just want to kiss the boo-boo, make it go away, and I'll lie with you, and I'll do your homework for you, and everything. And the kid never learns anything. And actually, their self-esteem plummets because they're always dependent on the parent to take away the hurt, not to feel that they can lean on them. Leaning on us is really important. Knowing you're there, knowing there's a boundary, knowing they can go to you. I say to my kids, anything happens to you, I don't care. You're to come to me first. And I embedded that in them, that I wanted them to know that we were their safety net. Kiss the boo-boo, say it's a boo-boo. But the next thing I need to say to them is, you got this. You can handle it. You're strong enough. You can deal with it. Not go punch the other kid out. Okay, let's say the kid punched them. I mean, you have limits, and every family has values about, you know, physical force, or you're not going to call them an a-hole because they called you an a-hole. That's not a value you have in your family. But telling them that they are strong, acknowledging your feelings, and then the bounce back. It's just like resiliency. Resiliency has 2 parts. Okay, you got to have the strength of the roots of the tree. Okay, and you have to be able to sway with the wind and the fire and all that sort of stuff to come back. It's not all about, all I can do is bounce back. Jesus, you can't bounce back unless you have roots. And the roots are, I hear you. I hear you that you're frustrated with that online computer class. I hear you that you can't understand the teacher the way you used to understand the teacher. I hear you that you want to hug your friends, but you can't run up to anybody and hug them unless they live with us, right? I hear you. So acknowledging the feelings, I hear that you are sad. I hear that you feel this way, whatever it is. And then the next thing is, you got it. You can do it. You're strong. Without both, they're not learning. They're not learning anything. And the empowerment is not going to come. And it's not going to come the first time you say it. Just like when Carey suggested thinking about weight. You know, I'm here for you. It's the same message she's saying that I'm saying. I'm here for you, but like, don't push me. You know, it's like, I'm not saying no, I'm not saying yes, and I'm not saying I'm doing anything. And you're setting a boundary for them. But you want to affirm feelings, especially I'm afraid, I'm not happy, I don't have any friends. All these things are true feelings. You've got to acknowledge the feelings, because otherwise kids are going to hide it away, sink it in, and then it becomes worse and worse because they don't feel worthy of expressing it. So creating a safe environment to express feelings and then affirming those feelings and then affirming their ability to move forward. You know, it's an old saying I used to say to my kids, it's not the falling down that's so worrisome, because we're going to have many fall downs in life. It's the getting up, not only getting up, but moving forward. Because people get up and they move through life, but they're very upset and they haven't really dealt with it and they haven't moved forward. They're sort of stuck. So it's two actions. It's getting up, and some people can't get up. Some people feel overwhelmed and they need serious help. That we need to acknowledge. We can't ignore that. You can't say, snap out of it if somebody's depressed. Snap out of from being sad. It doesn't work that way. Acknowledging the sadness gives people a chance to release it and to deal with the underlying causes. Because if we don't affirm anything, people are just going to run from their feelings. And feelings drive behaviors, and that's the root of everything we're about.
Carey, is there anything you'd like to add?
Yeah, I mean, kind of piggybacking on the idea of feelings, because with kids, I mean, it drives, like you said, Dr. Lisa, it drives behaviors, and it's so important that they understand and they can acknowledge their feelings. So one of the games we play at our nonprofit for kids is when kids first come to us, we ask them if they know the difference between facts and feelings. And it's really cute to watch them kind of guess and come up with ideas. But you know, the answer that we teach them is that feelings are always changing. Feelings are the weather inside the body, and the weather is always changing, just like feelings are always changing. And to know, like, help them understand that they can observe their feelings like the passing weather, like, oh, it's sunny outside, oh, it's sad inside, or oh, it's frightening inside, or, and just acknowledge and name it and know that it's going to change. It always changes. And in the state of observing your feelings, you can attach it to your unmet needs for feeling safe or secure. But if we react to it, we're usually, you know, we're reacting to something that's not really a fact. It's the changing weather inside the body. And the more we can observe it and name it, then we can take, you know, more healthy, balanced action as a result, and help go to a place where we allow those feelings to inform us more about, like, well, what needs aren't being met right now? And what do I need to feel better? So yeah, I like to play that with kids. It makes it kind of fun, you know, to realize that it's like the weather. This is my weather inside my body. So it gives them kind of another way to describe feelings as the internal weather. So they don't feel bad about their feelings, that they shouldn't have feelings. It's just the weather. It's sunny, it's rainy, it's cloudy.
Awesome. So yeah, empowering them with some language around the weather. Maggie, would you like to share a way that works for you to empower your children?
Well, right now, since, you know, they're little, they're learning how to express themselves. But right now with my 4-year-old, that's where I see that she's starting to express herself more. And I'm learning with her because she's my oldest. So I'm trying to understand where these emotions are coming from, why she's feeling a certain way. So what I do, I try to involve her in, like, my daily routines. Like, you know, when I'm washing dishes, she wants to be part of it. You know, my 2-year-old, when I'm throwing the laundry from the washer to the dryer, she wants to, I'll do it, you know, so I have both of them. So what I do to empower them is I just involve them in my daily routine, you know, so they can feel like they're part of something. And, you know, that way I can learn to understand, you know, if they're feeling sad, is it because they're not being involved in a certain situation? And then I can, like, sort it out from there.
A sense of belonging. And Antonia, would you like to share with us any ideas that work for you to empower yourself or your children?
Well, yeah, actually there is, we've learned together through the groups, how to ground ourselves and redirect when we're behaving a certain way. And my son, who is ADHD, tends to he's quick to react, and I see where he gets it from because I can be like that as well. So he does the same thing that I do. So I feel like that is, for me, it's great encouragement because he's like, I think you need to stop and breathe, um, take a step back and evaluate your feelings. And in that moment, sometimes I want to like, ex- you know, be like, excuse me. But then I realized that when he's behaving a certain way, sometimes I don't even have to say it because he says it himself to himself. And then he goes, I know. Go back where I came from when I decided to behave this way. And he will go back himself without me telling him. And I love that we've gotten these tools, you know, and we're able to share them with each other. And sometimes even without saying it, we're able to support one another on making change inside when we're behaving a certain way, because we all have flaws, you know, and I'm far from perfect. But one thing that I've learned, even when looking at my kids, is they empower me to be a better me. And all I could do is hope that I'm doing the same for them, you know, and we work together. Um, and it's never perfect, you know, it doesn't always turn out the way that we want it to. And sometimes it takes one or two times, for each of us to either guide one another to doing it the right way, not even the right way, just to correct it. Um, but I gotta say that the things that they've learned from group has empowered me more inside to be a better me, because I have a lot of patience, but I don't have a lot of tolerance. And I have like, I used to say I have zero tolerance for certain behavior, but now, with them, and as they get older, they help me to see like, they continue to make change, I can continue to change. And if I can continue to change, they're going to continue to change. And just watching them work with each other and work with others when others are having meltdowns. I mean, it's the little things. I saw this one, and I don't want to take up too much time, but I saw this one little thing, and it was like, if your child sees or doesn't see you do a specific thing, and you look and you see that they do it without you noticing them do it, they continue to do it. And we would do something small, a small gesture to someone that we don't know. And I've noticed that my kids will do the same thing. They'll be like, oh, I have an extra water bottle and snack. Can you just pull over real quick? And they'll give it to the individual on the side of the road. Or my son who works and makes a little bit of money, he'll be like, you know what? I just made 20, but can you pull to the side so I can give him 5? And it's just the little things that I feel that we get from each other that make us stronger individuals.
That's really powerful, sharing the tools that you have with your family. That's beautiful. So now we're going to move into a little bit of an example. So if you had a chance to take the 5 archetypes assessment, you might want to have those scores ready, have them handy. And Carey is now going to walk through a helpful exercise with Maggie and one of her kids. So Carey and Maggie, please take it away.
Awesome. Thank you,
Dana.
I want to give like a 2-minute explanation for what the 5 archetypes method is, so that people will know kind of what we're about to do. So the 5 archetypes is a personalized method for how to recover from stress when you feel a challenge. And it's based in the Chinese medicine model of the 5 elements of how everything grows and how everything flourishes in the face of discomfort or change. And it's combined with some frontier science ideas like neuroplasticity and epigenetics, the idea that our minds and our habits can change and grow. And so if you've taken the assessment, you'll notice that you have these 5 elements within you: fire, earth, metal, water, and wood. And we all have all 5. We are complex beings, a mix of all 5, but there's usually one that's the highest. And that serves as the primary way you engage with your internal environment. So how much sleep you need, how much exercise you need, how good you are at breathing. And your external environment, how you engage with other people, how you engage in relationships. So what I do in my private practice and with companies and with groups and in the nonprofit with schools is we can map out relationships. And that's what I'm about to do with Maggie and her daughter. So if you can give me your scores, I can either do an internal problem, so why you're having stress with a certain personal situation, or I can do an external relationship where we will compare Maggie's scores with one of her children in the very specific context of a problem. And you'll kind of see how I work it out, and hopefully we can reach some solution that will help Maggie tonight. So,
Yes, thank you.
yeah. Yeah, so what's going down?
So, I mean, like I said earlier, you know, right now it's, I really thought it was my 2-year-old, but honestly, I think it's my 4-year-old. She's growing through all these emotions. And I just want to know what's the best way for me to understand her, to connect with her. You know, she's in a stage where she doesn't want to be told, you know, anything. She really doesn't listen right now, you know. And then I tell her to do things, she kind of like overthinks it, and she makes it bigger than what it is. And she's been very, very emotional. I ask her, you know, what's wrong? It's okay to feel like this, but tell me why. So these are like new feeling, like the emotional part, it's new to me because she was never like that. Where I see her when she just starts crying, or we go to my mom's house, and you know, she's usually, you know, she's my mom's eyes. So when she goes there, she's like, Grandma, you know. And this last time we went, she was very serious and very like reserved. So, you know, I just want to understand how I can connect with her emotions.
So, okay. So I'm gonna say a little about Maggie's scores and about her 4-year-old scores. So Maggie's primary, her highest score is Earth. Earth people need to be needed. Earth people are nurturers, caregivers, unifiers. They are the glue in relationships. They like to turn chaos into order. They like to get involved, and they don't like it when people aren't getting along, when things aren't going smoothly. They like to fix it, and they're really good at it. They're team players. Their biggest fears revolve around abandonment, because if they are unifiers and they take care of all of your needs, why would anyone ever leave? Under stress, Earth people can go into overwhelm and worry and ruminate specifically about people not getting along, people issues, relationships not working. They can get addicted to relationships, so much so that they can't extract themselves or initiate or push things along because they just want the relationship to be settled and easy. So Maggie's lowest score is metal. Metal is boundaries. Metal is saying no. Metal is saying stop. Metal is saying go to your room. That's the rules. Metal is orderliness. It's being on time. It's doing what you're supposed to do. It's moral standards and values and things like that. So that's kind of important to know. The other scores are kind of, you know, aligned a little bit closer to your Earth, but they're a little bit lower, not much lower. The 4-year-old scores, right now, her highest score is fire. Fire people are all about feelings. They live in the now. They do not think about the future. They don't think about the past. They are big drama over little things. They are extreme, extreme ends of the emotions. They either, and they burst and then it's over. You can actually distract them pretty easily by showing them something funny or cute.
Yes, very true.
Yeah.
Just yesterday, I told her something and she goes into her room and she's like, "Oh my God, mommy." I'm like, "What did you say?" "Oh no, I'm fine. I was watching my phone." I'm like, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it's big bursts of like everything. And sometimes they're totally into you and sometimes they're totally not. And you can't really understand it. As an earth person, it doesn't really make sense. So there's these personal things to help you understand who she is, how she's going to react in stress, and how she's going to act out, and what her experience of life is. When you understand her archetypes, you'll have more empathy and compassion and understanding and less confusion around why she seems so strange. Why doesn't she see the world the way I do? And then you'll feel a little better because you'll understand, oh, that's her fire coming out. Her lowest is water. And you talked about how she doesn't want to listen and she overthinks. Water is all about listening. The cognitive skill that is correlated to water is deep listening, is getting quiet, is not being overly dramatic. Water people are more about distilling the truth out of mystery. Feelings are too wishy-washy to water people, right? People whose primary is water. And so since her highest is fire, she's all about the feelings, and her lowest is water, she doesn't have a lot to balance her out yet. A little bit more, increase in her water will help bring her fire down so she won't get so swayed by her emotions and so confusing to you. So what you can do for her to increase her water, one, I would say make sure she's drinking enough water. So this is because it's based in a Chinese Eastern practice, it is a mind, body, spirit practice. So there will be physical components, cognitive components, and then spiritual level components. But always look at, the physical component of water is drinking and sleep. So is she getting enough rest? Does she still take naps? I don't know if
She
that's
doesn't take naps, and she gets up when I get up. She wants to stay up if I stay up late. So,
Yeah. So it's hard. So I will. Okay. So here's what I would say. Fire people don't like to go to sleep because they have what is it? FOMO, fear of missing out. Yeah. They don't want to miss anything fun. Then they don't want to go to sleep because now they're awake later than everyone else, and they sometimes have fear of the dark because they're awake.
Yes, she does.
Yeah, because everyone else goes to sleep because they just were so stimulated. They wanted to have fun, and then they hear every darn thing that's going on in the house, and it's a little creepy at night. So fire kids can have a little bit of like fear of the dark. But what?
You see, my husband blamed me for that. He's like, "It's because you're scaring her." I'm like,
No.
She's just
send him to me. It's not your fault.
I'm like, I didn't do anything.
You didn't. See, you get blamed for everything. But the thing that you can do for her, and this is why it's hard for you, give her a bedtime routine. Routinize her water. Listening, quiet listening, journaling, play imagination games, play metaphor games, this and that. How is this like that? Name 3 ways these two totally different things in the room are the same. Let her use her imagination and creativity. Play those games with her. Fire likes games and playing.
Yeah, she does.
If you structure, so metal will feed water. And you can see this in the book, The 5 Archetypes. There's a cycle, the way that this works. But metal, which is your lowest, so this is why it's not.
I was gonna tell you that, I start with the routines, and then it kind of it goes away, right? For example, since she was little, she didn't sleep in her crib, because she was my baby. So it's hard for me to get her out of the bed. That's my struggle right now. But it's poor thing, she's crying. Okay, come to mommy. I know. But I know it's something that I have to. She has to understand. She has to do. But to me, it's hard.
It will, because it's your lowest. You have the least tolerance for it. So if you can find a really simple way to routinize something about bedtime, whether it's a prayer that you guys both do together, or it's a name three things, three things. See, it's like midnight 15 for me. Three things you loved about the day or that you appreciate about each other. Some little something. But I would also, for you, so that you can have more tolerance for being consistent with your medal, do medal exercises for yourself. One thing, medal is the breath. So like exhale, do some sort of breathing once a day, twice a day, put a reminder in your phone, just do a couple of nice exhales. The behavioral component of medal is orderliness and refinement, like wipe down a counter, organize a drawer, clean out a closet shelf or a cabinet in the kitchen, organize something, tap to the beat of a song, count the corners in a room. Anything that's like really structured to do that doesn't leave you room for any kind of creativity or getting lost in it. Do something that's confined to a time. And that's all the behavioral component. And the very highest level of medal is gratitude and forgiveness. So any kind of gratitude practice or forgiving yourself. That's like the first, right? Forgiving yourself for not having a lot of structure. It's really...
I'm going to start there.
Yeah,
and it explains that because when let's say I'm sleeping or I'm doing something, I get easily distracted by the radio, the song on the radio or the TV show. And I'm like, okay, that's my novela right there. Okay, hold on. This can wait. I have to watch this. So it kind of, it makes sense. It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So to wrap it up, I would say she will benefit. She'll calm down. You'll have an easier time with her if you increase her water. And the easiest way to increase her water is to nurture it through medal, which is going to be your lowest. So you got to practice it a little bit and find ways to implement some medal into your life that you won't shy away from doing, that you'll keep up with. And there are things you could do. So that's what I would say, and I think you might find some.
Thank you, Carey. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna go try those techniques out and work on my medal.
Yeah,
it's gonna benefit me, and it's gonna benefit her at the end of the day. So thank you.
It will. My pleasure. My pleasure.
Wonderful, thank you. And now Dr. Lisa and Antonia are going to walk through an example of what happens at Parents Anonymous.
Great. So, Antonia, why don't you explain? So we open every group with guided meditation because we know so much science about meditation, and I keep encouraging people. It's the cheapest, most effective way to deal with anxiety and your lack of focus. And people constantly say, but I can't do it because my mind wanders. So I just want to give like a 1-minute explanation about that's the whole point to meditate. So whether if you can close your eyes, you should try to close your eyes. So Antonia will demonstrate in terms of closing her eyes. You can't see, but she has her feet grounded on the floor. If you can't sit on the floor, you want to be somewhat grounded. So flatten your feet on the floor so you can feel Mother Earth, you can feel the ground, and keeping your palms open just keeps you able to receive the energy. So when we're in a Parents Anonymous group, there are 8 to 10 or 12 people doing this at once to open up the group so that the parent can take care of themselves. So take a deep cleansing breath, which I recommend. Breathe through your nose. People have stuffy noses in the summer, that's fine. You can breathe through your mouth. Breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. And keep doing that. Breathe through your nose and out through your mouth. So Antonia's already told us what the issue is she was going to talk about when she introduced herself. So we'll just go from there. Keep breathing in through your nose and out through your mouth. We often play music. I'm not playing music now so that you can focus on what I'm saying. But music that doesn't have any words, it's soothing, that you like, pick music. You can pick any kind of guided meditation you find on your phone. It's fine. Find one that fits for you. Everything does not fit for you. So our meditations are about the monthly themes. focus on the role of the parent. We have other meditations that focus on children and youth. And there's like a 2-minute meditation for very young children. And then for older children, like Antonia's kids, they keep telling me, Dr. Lisa, make them longer. So they're like 7 or 10 minutes. They want them to be almost 20 minutes. They've been meditating for years. So they are very experienced meditators. So Antonia, so I want you to do a technique. She's already talked about her niece, and you've already expressed some feelings which seem to be right on the surface for you. I want you to keep your eyes closed for a minute and do this technique of scanning your body. And anybody, we can't see you on the screen, which is fine. You can follow along if it works for you. So I want you to scan your body from head to toe. So you have 7 chakras in your body, which are wheels of energy, okay? Starting from the crown, starting from the base of your spine, which is number 1 chakra. The middle chakra is your heart. So for a minute, I want Antonia just to scan your body, going through your forehead and your face. And if you find any part of your body that feels tense or represents some kind of concern, then I want you to use your breath to release it. Could be you have a crick in your neck, it could be nothing, and you just keep going all the way down your body. And if you get to this spot, breathe in through your nose, hold it for a second, and breathe out. You don't have to do really deep breathing, just consistently focus on it. Now, if your mind is chattering and you're thinking about, oh, when's this thing over with, or I want to go to bed, or I'm hot, or worried about fires, you can focus on those thoughts and use your breath to release yourself from them. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. So whatever that worry is, even imagine in your dominant hand you're holding like the TV clicker, and that you're going to click it off. That you have the control to clear your mind so you can drop more into your body. And as you're doing that, if you have to stop for a minute because you have a twitch or an ache in your knee or your hip, you're going all the way down your body, then just breathe. Use your breath to release that tension. And again, eventually what you want to do is you're turning the clicker off, and like your forehead is like blank like the TV, the gray black color. There's no thoughts in there right now. You're just focusing on the internal breathing, breath of life, all the way through your body. Go down through your stomach area, down your legs. But again, if you're still stuck on that first pressure point or ache and pain or whatever it is, or thought that's you're hung up on, stay there. There's no reason to move from that till you feel you're able to. And if you ever feel like you're getting sleepy while you're doing some kind of guided meditation, just while your eyes are closed, think about rolling your eyes up towards your third eye. And you won't maybe droop your head and fall asleep. If you do, you'll end up waking yourself up. It's perfectly fine. Okay, so Antonia, you were talking about, I want to talk about 2 parts of this. The tears that came for you when you were talking. Did you find a spot in your body where you were feeling tension or worry?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's my throat.
Okay. So the throat represents the throat chakra, which is your ability to advocate, to speak up. And so you may feel a lot of pressure there because you've discussed the whole family, protective of your niece and feeling that burden as the mother and the main caregiver, main adult, as your 4 minor children who are at home living with you are feeling all this pressure around your niece who's suffering from type 1 diabetes. Were there other people in your family who face type 1 diabetes?
I have another cousin whose son has it, but everyone else is like type 2.
Okay. So all that pressure, what I want you to do is close your eyes for a minute. So in order to, we say in Parents Anonymous, nurture others, we have to nurture ourselves first, right? So taking that time for you to decompress and deal with those feelings, even if they come out as anger or whatever, whichever way you need to deal with them, releasing yourself from them is going to be very important. So what I want you to do is cross your arms across your chest, and other people can do this too. You know, you can follow along if you want to. And I want you to think about your heart for a minute, and the heart chakra is green. And so a chakra is a wheel, literally a wheel of energy. So in order for her to feel, and the chakra of the heart is love and support, to feel that energy, she needs to release it. Everybody needs to release it. It's sitting there, it's in your heart, it's in your lungs. But what I want her to do is to give her some protection for all this fear she talked about, and basic fear. Okay, so everybody use the power of your mind to spin the heart chakra clockwise, starting as a light green color, and as it gets darker, it picks up heat and speed, and it goes faster and faster to really absorb that energy, and it's turning from a light green to a medium green to this bright dark green. And then I want you to shoot it down your body. So like you're pouring this beautiful green, loving, supportive energy while she's hugging herself, while we're hugging ourselves, all the way down through her body. And that is the love and support you get from others. And I want you to fill yourself up all the way down through your thighs, your knees, your feet. And just hold it there for a minute. Keep breathing. Don't hold your breath. And I want you to go back to the heart chakra while the bottom of your body is all full of this energy, and spin the chakra the opposite direction, counterclockwise. Again, starting with a light green, like a lime green, to a medium green. It's going faster and faster. It's picking up heat and warmth and energy. It's getting darker and darker and darker. And then I want you to shoot it up both sides of your lungs and your heart, up through your chest, over your shoulders, your forearms, through your elbows, your bottom arms, your fingers, your hands, all the way back up the underside of your forearms, your upper arms, your armpits, back all the way up through your neck, around the back of your neck, like somebody's pouring all this beautiful green energy through your ears, all this love and support that you give to others. So love and support is an exchange. It's not equal at all times, the giving and the getting. Give love and strength and support the strength it needs, all the way up to the top of your head. So I want you to squeeze, and now when you imagine from the top of your head, all the way through the face and neck, all the way through your body, I want you to feel that warmth, that love and support that you give and you get. Family, friends, neighbors, colleagues, even in response to a smile to a stranger when they smile back at you, and how smiling is so good. So now you can release your arms and open your eyes and just continue to breathe. This same technique you can use with your niece for her to get in touch with fear. So we're talking about deep-seated feelings. Anger is an outward expression of something. Fear, loss, rejection, it's those deep things. And even imagining the power of you dropping into your body is almost like what Carey was saying about the weather, you know, in your body, that it's inside your body, and that by getting in touch with it and giving your permission to express it outward. And that may mean that you want to go shout into a pillow. You might want to take a brisk walk. You might want to just say it's too much and you're overwhelmed, whatever you need to say. But first, it's to get in touch with the feelings, to give yourself permission to feel. And there's a heavy weight. You feel it on your shoulders, Antonia?
I did.
You feel it on your neck?
Not anymore.
Good. And parents who feel they're in charge of every child in their family, every person in their family, feel that pressure, 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 pressure. And finding a way to release that and feel some release. And the more you do that, the more it will help with the underlying fear. Because having type 1 diabetes is not going to change. It is a lifetime of pricking fingers, taking sugar readings, taking insulin, getting monitored, and you have a very loving family. And like what you're saying is everybody in the family is feeling that. And then if your niece is saying, I'm not sure I want to eat, is this going to do wrong by me? What can I do? And her ability to understand that. You need to set that sort of course for her. Again, affirming her feelings. I understand you're afraid. You are strong. You've got this. You can prick your finger. Look how great that is. And affirm the things that she has done, where she's learned to do certain things. Even though she's going to turn 15, she can't do everything. And she's going to be leaning on you and the family for support. So making sure that your resiliency is up, that you're dealing with yourself so that you're there for her is what we as parents always need to do. Never forget that without the strength you have, you can fall on the sword for these children, but you're not going to make it. You know, it's this old saying about what does the pilot always say? What does the pilot say, Antonia?
Put your mask on yourself first before trying to help anyone else.
But why? Why?
Well, if I pass out, I can't help no one.
Exactly. They're even warning you, there might not be enough oxygen in the room. It's even more serious. People, when I ask that question, people say, oh yeah, it means take care of yourself first. No, the pilot is telling you oxygen is vital. When it drops, you put it on you, then you help the next person. I mean, they're saying there could be more serious consequences than, you know, I just overate today and I didn't pay attention to my kid and I might have yelled at them. Well, for a minute or 2 or 5 minutes. So what? I went in my room and locked the door and said, leave me alone. You drive me nuts, kids. Okay. You know, as long as they're in a safe environment, nothing's going to happen. When the pilot makes that statement, he or she are telling us one very serious thing. Oxygen is dropping. You got to do this first because you may not make it. But I think that parents often feel that if they just keep on trucking, they keep on doing, if they keep on being there, and no matter how much they cry, they can sleep with me, and it doesn't matter I don't get any sleep. Eventually, it does matter that you don't get any sleep. It does matter that there's no routine. It does matter that they don't learn to go to sleep, because it's a learned behavior. Every kid cries when they want to go to sleep, want to be with their parents. But learning that is a talent. It's something you can reward them for. You're a big girl now. You can put yourself to sleep. I mean, not that you don't kiss them to sleep, don't read a book, don't have a routine. But I think having your niece, even when she feels afraid, to affirm her fear and then to say, you've got it, you're able to do this. Look how great you've done. You wrote down what your sugar was. Anything that she's able to do, you made a great choice. You ate a healthy dinner. And as your whole family is eating this healthy, you know, one thing you can get the rest of the family involved in is eating healthy. The diabetic diet is eating healthy for all of us, right?
Oh yeah, they love it.
Right. So they
We've implemented tofu now, and they love it. I mean, my son tells her, "You could poke me if you want to do that first, and then do you."
So you have a very loving and supportive environment in your home, you know, and you're going to get through this. But that doesn't mean you have every right to those feelings you have. And you need to not sink them down. They just come out somewhere else, right? Which is, oh, we'll ignore that. Parents will sacrifice ourselves in every way. It's like, really? What will be left?
Yeah.
You won't really be there.
Thank you.
Them. You're welcome. Namaste. Peace.
Namaste. So for all of you parents out there, we have a couple of more minutes. If anyone has a burning question, you can write it in the chat, or perhaps we can have people unmute themselves and ask their question. Does anyone have any question? You can also raise your hand. If you have a question about anything that we've gone over this evening, if you click on the participant section, there's a little thing that says raise hand. If you'd like to do that.
Oh, there's a question for Carey in the box.
What does it mean if somebody's archetype percentages are close together? Yeah, so discerning and determining what your scores mean is very interesting, and there's a lot of insights you can gather from looking at your scores. But there are a lot of times people will have scores that range like in the 50s and 60s, and all of them within like 5 to 10 points of each other. And then you'll see some scores where you have some spikes where 1 or 2 are pretty high and 1 or 2 are kind of low, or they're all pretty high. So generally what you'll find, people who have scores that are all within that like 50 to 60s range and they're pretty close together, they tend to be pretty self-aware, pretty easily able to cope with stressors kind of quickly. They don't sit in stress states for a really long time. They don't hold grudges for a really long time. They're able to recover with some speed. They have less passion in their strength states and in their stress states. And it's not to say that they're dispassionate about what they love. It's just that they're not as obvious about it to the rest of us. People who have higher scores, you tend to know what they're into. You know what they're about. They are not quiet about it. You know when they get upset, you know when they're stressed out, but you also know what they stand for. They'll go out and they will lead a march on Washington. And they will yell into a megaphone what they stand for. People whose scores are closer together tend to keep things a little bit more quiet and calm, and they don't get too intense on one side or the other. When they're upset, you're not quite sure always that they're upset. They may not tell you. So that's kind of what the scores that are closer together and scores that have a wider variance mean.
Awesome, thanks, Carey. We have another question from MK. How do I get links to some support groups for specific topics like substance abuse? Someone from the Parents Anonymous like to handle that one?
Yeah, if you live in California and in the Parents Anonymous groups, there is no criteria except that you're in a parenting or caregiver role. And for the children of those parents, then there are children youth groups. So many people come to Parents Anonymous having a specific issue, like they are trying to remain in recovery during this COVID crisis, right? And they just feel all this pressure. People want to have Zoom cocktail parties and they have a drinking issue and they don't want to have a Zoom cocktail party, but they're all alone or they feel they're alone and they're doing that. So in Parents Anonymous, it doesn't matter what the issue is as long as you are a parent. And our children youth groups are for children. So we don't have independent groups just for adults who may be addressing substance abuse or some other issue. But clearly substance abuse, any kind of mental health challenge, any relationship problem, it could be you're not having an issue about your kid, but you feel lonely that you're not in a relationship right now. and you don't know how to even start a relationship during this COVID crisis. What does that actually mean? And so joining a group will definitely help reduce those issues around social isolation for people to address. So everything is not necessarily about your parenting role, because we're first human beings. It's about you as a human being. And then parenting is part of that, just like other roles that you have.
Great. And we have time for just one more question. Nicole is asking, could my kids participate in a meditation like this, one that we just did? They're pretty young, but I really think they could benefit from it.
And Tony, you want to take that one?
Yeah, when my kids started the groups, they had just turned 4, 6, and 7, and they now can lead anybody in a meditation. And mind you, one has ADHD and the other one has autism, and they found it to be actually very soothing. And the way that they started to develop their sense of sitting still and all of that was me giving them the opportunity to teach me, to walk me through it. And yeah, I think that as young as 3, I mean, I've seen kids as young as 2 sit through a meditation.
And again, how individual children experience it, like Antonia has, there's no rules. When I was giving you some guidelines for an adult, so if a child decides to, we had a young child in there and she would run around, she was quite young, and she said to people, shh, shh. And that was what she associated with what was going on with the meditation. And she thought that's the time to be quiet. Shh. And she would go around when things started like that. Obviously, the younger the child, we're not thinking about 10 minutes of meditation. We're thinking about 1 minute sitting still. But they will learn about grounding through that process. They will learn how to focus on their breathing. And like Carey was saying, breath is very important for different archetypes. People aren't breathing enough. People aren't even breathing properly, you know, and people need to take in that oxygen for our own cell development, et cetera. So as Antonia said, introducing the idea of doing a family meditation, I just wanted to add what Antonia said. People come to Parents on the Script, the children learn about meditation, they do meditation, the parents do meditation, the parents go home. I mean, Antonia, when you were driving your kids to school, they were meditating in the backseat on the way to school every day, correct? And
Yeah. Yes, sorry. I was talking, but it was still on mute. And like I was putting in the chat, my kids also call. I have one who calls the helpline. The other one likes to text. And the other one, she prefers doing live chat. She likes seeing the bubbles.
yeah, so we want to make sure people know about that resource, because parents and kids of any age can call. We don't even turn away 20-year-olds who may be struggling. We just say young people. They might not be a parent, and the number is 1-855-426-2736. And we'll put it in the chat. You can Google us and find us. And like Antonia said, we have the ability, as one of the staff said, feel heard without saying a word. So a lot of people do like chat. It doesn't stay on your phone. Nobody can see it, right? So it's just a live experience through the website, caparentyouthhelpline.org. So we want to make sure that there are all kinds of modalities. Some people do like the text, like Antonia was saying. Some people do like the live chat. Some people want to call. They need to hear somebody responding to them. They need to hear the audio part. And I don't know what archetype that relates to for Carey, but they need to feel connected with a human. And they're so happy there's another human there. Because people say, I can't talk to my sister. I'm not sure. My mother judges me. You know, my cousin thinks I've done this wrong. You know, who do I talk to? So people feel just very beaten down. That's why the helpline, and we say asking for help is a sign of strength. So reaching out and keep asking for help. The helpline might not be enough for you. Maybe a first step. You might need to reach out to somebody else. You might need to address something very specific. This whole webinar was about empowerment. So it starts with you defining, what do you need? And some people say, I don't know what I need right now. So you can call the helpline and maybe explore, what do I need? I'm not sure. I don't know why I'm sad. I don't even know if it's sad because I feel so mad. That's a good one, right? People feel angry, but they're not sure why. And Maggie was talking about, well, I want to understand why. My only comment to you, Maggie, is that it might be not that important what the why is. Like Carey was talking about these techniques, it's changing the environment for your little one, okay, so that she can move through it to the other side. Because the cognitive understanding at 4 years old of why, we don't even understand the world. I mean, you know, they just know you, their father, their sister, their home. And why can't they go to the park? They don't understand the COVID virus, 4 years old. And those are overwhelming things. And when we as parents feel overwhelmed by COVID or fires or whatever, or stress or work, or the boss keeps calling you, running in the other room to try to do this and that, but you have to go to work and there's nobody to watch your kid. People have said to me, I have to quit my job. I don't know what to do. There's no daycare. There's no safe daycare that I believe my kids can be. So what are these choices that we're making all around the country are very, very, as parents of younger kids who are in school, even college-age kids, should you send them back to the dorms? Should you keep them at home? Should they online learn? Is that the same thing? You know, it goes on and on and on. So in terms of making sure that you're in touch with your feelings and giving yourself a break, what Carey started, I'm sort of circling back around, that parents feel so pressured. You have to be perfect. You have to take care of every boo-boo. You have to, you know, have every answer that they want. It's like bullshit. Excuse my French. You know, that's bullshit. You're first a human being, man, woman, whatever you identify as to who you are. Wonderful. Take care of yourself first.
All right. Well, that's great advice. Thank you so much, everyone. For those of you watching the replay, feel free to reach out to text, talk, or live chat at the California Youth Impaired Helpline. The number is 855-427-2736. Thank you all for joining us this evening, and go empower yourselves and have great success in your parenting. Thank you so much.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Be well, everybody. Be safe and take care of yourselves.
Yes, thank you. You all get some rest.